After going through and seeing the photos, it's a little bit easier now to understand the concept of these column lifts. That we're purchasing 8 of them. They're 8 individual lifts. If you have a vehicle with 4 wheels, you're putting one under each wheel, or depending on how the frame is on the vehicle, and then lifting this the vehicle up. The question that I have is, how do you coordinate all 4 of the hydraulic jacks at the same time?
Yeah, they're all tied together by a electronic wiring. And then they each have sensors on them, so they're self-leveling and they all work in unison together. And these are for heavy truck. They're not for automobiles. This is for all our big heavy trucks that we can't lift presently.
Now it's a hardline wire, correct?
Yes, it's just a small cable that connects the 4 or 6. You can use up to 6 for lifting a tandem axle, let's say a large salt truck or a garbage truck. You would use 4 on the rear axles and 2 in the front, and you can lift these heavy vehicles up and actually walk underneath them and work on them.
Why did you only request 2 stands? You're requesting 8 of the columns, but only 2 stands.
Yeah, just for versatility. If we needed to on some, you could block underneath the frame and then remove 2, so you could work on the wheels, and then you could take those 2 and use them on another vehicle if you just needed to lift the front. Just for versatility. Originally, we didn't know how many we were going to be able to purchase, so whether it was going to be 4, 6, 8. We ultimately wanted 8, but either way, even if we went down to 6, we'd like a couple large jack stands. And they will take them, once you get the vehicle leveled up in the air, you could put this jacks underneath them. They're super heavy duty. Then you can remove the lifts, like I said. And
how much weight will each jack stand support?
I believe each one is 18,000 pounds.
And now each individual column lift will also have a scale to indicate the weight.
They all have that, and overloads on them, and they're super safe. And one of the reasons why we went with this particular brand is it's the only brand that's certified by independent certifying company, not the company that built it. A separate entity comes in and certifies them that they're safe, because you are lifting super heavy vehicles, and we want to make sure they're safe, for our mechanics. So, and they are American made and of excellent quality. So we've been researching this for several years.
The advantage to doing this is one will be able to lift heavier vehicles, but we also will not have to dump.
Correct.
Whatever, if it's salt,
yes.
If it's gravel, dirt, we can, or even
garbage trucks.
Well, I don't know if you'd want to lift a garbage truck with garbage in it and work on it.
Well, they do. They come in with flat tires, and a lot of and this is just one of the small issues is, or they're full of salt in the middle of the night, and we just have an outside flat, and some of them right now we really don't even have the capability of lifting it up, so the driver has to take it out, unload possibly 15 yards of salt, take him a half hour, 45 minutes or more just to get the salt out of it. Then he has to come back in. Then we can finally lift it up, change the tire, then he has to go back out and get reloaded. Now I could just throw these underneath, lift it, and work on it loaded if needed. I mean, we wouldn't want to, we try not to lift them loaded, but a lot of times it's, it's cost effective and downtime then when you have to take it and spin it out and the salt out and it's snowing. So that's just one small instance. Same as garbage trucks. A lot of times we can't work on them until we take them and dump them. So.
Last question. If we're bringing a vehicle in with a flat tire, is your staff trained then to know where they can put the jack? Because obviously you can't put the jack under the tire and raise it from the axle. Yeah,
and those you lift from the tires, and then when you got it up where you wanted, that's where you place the large jack underneath, and then you would remove it, and then now you would have access to the tire.
Some of the photographs showed lifting vehicles in a number of different positions. As a matter of fact, there was one Jeep where they actually had it, where they had one jack in the front, one jack in the back, and lifting it up that way. I just didn't know if there was, but I guess the clarification, if you're putting the jack stand under the axle.
Yeah, they're very, there's a lot of different adapters you can get for them also for lifting different pieces of equipment. For instance, our street sweepers have almost looks like a 3-wheel. There's a special adapter for them, so there's a lot of different ways of lifting.
Okay,
So they're very versatile jacks.
thank you.
Any other comments from council members?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Warner?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Neighbors. In addition to Mr. Sadowski's comments, is everybody in DPW in the garage going to be trained to use these?
Yeah, all the mechanics.
And who's coming in to do the training? Mohawk themselves or?
Mohawk, or I believe, you know what, I believe Mohawk is sending a direct rep along with the company that we're purchasing who's, sells the equipment.
And what's the warranty on these?
You know what, I don't have that in front of me exactly. Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Is there any maintenance involved with them?
No, they're pretty well maintenance free. Yeah, they're excellent. We looked at 4 different lifts over the last 3 or 4 years, and I had each one brought as a demo, and some were left for a week, some for just for a day, and they were hands-on. We had all the mechanics put their hands on them all, use them all. They're real simple to use, and this was by far the superior of all of them that we tested, and they're state bid.
Okay.
As far as pricing, government pricing. So
Are there any other communities that we know of that are using these?
this particular brand, I'm thinking Sterling Heights. There was 2 off the top of my head as far as municipalities, but a lot of your independent truck shops are using them. They're all relatively similar. Just there's a couple different variations in thickness of steel and specifics like that and where they're manufactured. So we did a lot of research, and like I said, I wanted the opinion of the guys that were actually working on them, working on the vehicles, what was the easiest to use. And these also, a lot of them require like 440 volt to plug into an outlet. These are all 24 volt rechargeable. So we can take them outside and use them. We don't have to be near any outlet or electrical. A lot of times they're working on them in the winter with salt water and stuff, and that's why we lean toward a 24 volt. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms.
Madam
Martin?
Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Mr. Neighbors.
Good evening.
I see that part of the funds is coming out of DPW garage and the other is coming out of sanitation. So you're each participating in the purchase of these.
Yes.
One thing I like, the fact that it took you through a process of demos and you actually did the hands-on experience with the equipment. So many times we get equipment and it's not what it cranks out to be.
Right.
Secondly, we're looking at the consolidation aspect.
Right.
With this. What kind of additional repairs is this going to help us with throughout DPW and sanitation?
It's just going to be a huge time saver, not only for times when we, would lose time to have to unload vehicles, just the fact that now the guys have to use these little bottle jacks and lift up a little bit and put a piece of wood and another jack and kind of stack them up, and it's probably not the safest using blocking. And the mechanics now have to get on a creeper and slide underneath the vehicle. And we're kind of like way behind the times where, any repair shop you go to, see someone working on a vehicle, they're always walking underneath it, working on it. And now we'll have that capability, which will save us a ton of time because we're always borrowing a jack from one mechanic to the other mechanic and using blocking and just not the safest way. So it'll not only save us time, and manpower and actually be a state-of-the-art facility. So,
All right, that's great. And then, let's see, you said 18,000 pounds. So we're basically looking at garbage trucks, the sanitation department. Recently, have we had some problems or experienced some problems with the refuse trucks?
as far as what?
Breakdown recently?
Just normal, some of the problems we've had with some of the hydraulic pumps and that as of recently with the hydraulic systems and stuff, yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, we're working with Highland. I'm trying to get some of the glitches and stuff out, so.
All right, because I noticed recently on trash pickup, one neighborhood, it seemed like their bags stayed there overnight. So either they had a problem, there were like chips all over on the street. So I was thinking maybe they had a problem with the truck actually breaking down and not completing the route.
Yeah, I couldn't say for sure on that, but we've had a few issues here and there, but we do have a few spare trucks, so we're able to replace it with another one while we're doing repairs on the others, so.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Ms. Vogt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Mr. Neighbors.
Good evening.
Do we really need 8 lifts?
Well, it just gives the capability, we have 10 mechanics now instead of 5, so we put everyone in, one building. So if we're using, if we only had 4, then a lot of times they would be taken up by one guy. So this gives us the capabilities that, just like with those extra 2 jack stands, that we can put them under and remove 2 of the lifts, and they can go in the hands of another mechanic. So
How do we go from 5 to 10 mechanics?
when we consolidated, DPW used to have 5, and then we brought on 3 mechanics from sanitation, and we also brought the mechanic from water, and now we're all under one roof. So we don't have enough equipment for all the guys as far as jacks and stuff. And then now we've increased the size of our garbage trucks, and so for lifting capabilities, we're definitely lacking.
Okay.
So,
How did you make the breakdown between DPW and sanitation?
as far as what, the funding?
Yes.
That was done by Mr. Simone. Him and I kind of got together and we went through all the different, the funds as far as for repairs and stuff to see who had enough money left so we could get together and see what we had and what we could buy, whether we were able to buy 4 or 6 or 8. Originally, we always wanted to have 8, but we didn't know how it was going to work out as far as funding, so.
So it doesn't have anything to do with how much work is done for DPW and how much work is done for sanitation?
Well, it originally started out, we're kind of divided. These guys just worked on that, but now it's just like, it's kind of like all one, even though some of the mechanics and that are actually paid by the different divisions. Like now we've taken on fire, so we actually did get fire's maintenance budget dropped in. And another reason for these lifts too, now we'll even have the capabilities of lifting an aerial ladder truck, where before we can't lift it in the air, it's just too big and too heavy. So now if we put 6 underneath there, we'll be able to lift an aerial ladder truck in the air and actually walk underneath it and work on it. So,
All right, if we didn't have those super duper sanitation trucks, would we still need 8?
well, I think it's what it mainly is we probably work 70% of our vehicles that we work on are heavy truck. So like I say, a lot of our jacks and stuff are old and we're lacking on lifting. So I would say no, we would need them either way. We should have had these years ago. I mean, we just, I don't know. I can't say previously why we didn't purchase them. I think it's very important. And for safety reasons, some of the stuff we did was probably not the safest. And as you know, it's much easier to walk underneath something and work on it than to lay on a creeper and slide underneath it. We even actually have a pit still at DPW, which is like kind of from the 50s, where the hole's in the ground and you drive the truck over it, and so we only can use 1 vehicle at a time on there. And like I say, with 10 guys and over 600 vehicles, we push a lot of vehicles through that place. So that would be the need why we need 8, sure. So.
Okay. I have noticed and I don't know if you have the answer to this, but I don't think there's anyone here from sanitation. The collection of the recycling trucks have been coming very late in the evening, where they used to come in the daytime.
Yeah.
You know what is happening, why that's happening?
A couple of our newer recycling trucks are back getting some warranty work done. We've had some issues with the braking